Lieutenant Mina Park sat quietly in the back of the grand meeting hall on New Geneva Station, watching the alien delegates from 6 different worlds speak to Earth's leaders. The room was huge, with gold walls and fancy lights that made everything look important. She had been coming to these peace talks for 3 years now, ever since the Council first contacted Earth. The aliens looked so different from each other. The tall bird-like Kethrans ruffled their feathers as they spoke. The small round Daxians rolled back and forth on their wheel-like legs. The Vorgan Prime Minister, who looked like a giant lobster, waved his claws as he made his points. They all seemed so friendly, so eager to help Earth join their galactic community. Mina remembered how excited everyone was when the Council first arrived. They promised to share their advanced technology with humanity. They offered to help Earth clean up pollution, cure diseases, and explore the stars. All they asked for in return was a simple defense-sharing agreement. Earth would give the Council access to their military systems, and the Council would protect Earth from any hostile aliens. It seemed like such a good deal at the time. Mina's job was to record everything for Earth's military leaders. She had special clearance to access all the technical discussions. Over the years, she had watched as Earth slowly handed over control of its defenses to the Council. They said it was for Earth's own good, to make their defenses stronger and more connected. But something felt wrong today. The aliens seemed different. They weren't as friendly as usual. They kept looking at each other with strange expressions. The Kethran delegate kept tapping his claws on the table in a pattern that seemed like some kind of code. Then it happened. Prime Minister Zek of the Vorgans stood up slowly. His usually cheerful voice turned cold and sharp. "Humans of Earth," he said, "the time for pretending is over." The other delegates rose too, their friendly faces changing into something cruel and hungry. Mina felt her blood turn to ice as holographic displays appeared in the air above them. The images showed Earth from space. She could see the planet's defense grid, the shield generators that protected major cities, the orbital weapon platforms that kept Earth safe from asteroids and hostile ships. But something was terribly wrong with the displays. Red warnings flashed across every screen. System after system showed the same message. Offline, remote override activated. "For your defenses are now under our control," Zek announced with a smile that showed too many teeth. "Every shield generator, every weapon system, every sensor array, all of it belongs to us now. Those innocent little software updates we've been helping you install, they were backdoors, humans. We've been preparing for this moment for 3 long years." Mina watched in horror as the display zoomed in on Earth's major cities. New York, London, Tokyo, Moscow, all of them showed their protective shields flickering and dying. The orbital platforms that were supposed to defend Earth slowly turned their weapons toward the planet below. "But why?" asked General Thompson, Earth's chief military representative. His face had gone completely white. "We trusted you. We shared everything with you. We welcomed you as friends." The bird-like Kethran delegate, Ambassador Scree, clicked her beak in what Mina now realized was laughter. "Your trust was always the plan, General. You humans are so predictable. Show you a little kindness, promise you some technology, and you hand over everything we need to conquer you." President Martinez, who had been leading Earth's negotiations, stood up shakily. "The galactic community won't stand for this. There are laws, treaties." "We are the galactic community," interrupted the Daxian speaker, rolling forward aggressively. "The Council includes 47 member species. Guess how many of them oppose taking Earth? 0. You humans are alone, just as you were when we first arrived." Mina's hands were shaking as she reached for her communicator. She had been trained for situations like this, though she never thought it would actually happen. Hidden deep inside her uniform was a special device that could send an emergency signal past the Council's communication blocks. The signal would reach the Outer System Defense Network, Earth's secret backup plan that no one was supposed to know about. While the Council had been installing backdoors in Earth's main defenses, humanity had quietly been building something else in the cold darkness beyond Pluto, just in case their new alien friends turned out not to be friends at all. "Don't bother with your little toys," Zek warned, noticing Mina's movement. "We've already jammed all communications from this station. No one can hear your cries for help." But Mina had already pressed the button. Her device used quantum tunneling, technology that the Council didn't know Earth possessed. The signal was already racing across space at impossible speeds, carrying a simple message: the trap is sprung. Activate Ghost Protocol. As the first Council warships began materializing around Earth, their weapons targeting the planet's helpless cities, Mina smiled grimly. The Council had made one crucial mistake. They thought they knew everything about human technology and capabilities. They were about to learn how wrong they were. Admiral Jun Kim was drinking his morning coffee in his private cabin when the quantum pulse hit his ship. The Dark Star was floating silently in the asteroid belt, completely invisible to any scanner. Her hull was covered in special coatings that absorbed radar waves instead of reflecting them back. To the outside world, she was just another piece of space rock drifting between Mars and Jupiter, but June knew better. The Dark Star was one of humanity's best-kept secrets, loaded with weapons that could crack a moon in half. The coffee cup slipped from his hands as the emergency lights bathed everything in red. His tablet screamed with incoming data, quantum, tunneled messages that bypassed every known method of communication jamming. His blood ran cold as he read Lieutenant Park's transmission: Council betrayal confirmed. Defense grid compromised. Earth defenseless. Ghost Fleet activation requested immediately. June rushed to the bridge, his bare feet slapping against the cold metal floors. The command deck was already bustling with activity. His officers had received the same signal and were preparing for what they all hoped would never come. "Status report," June barked as he settled into his captain's chair. Commander Lee Sang-woo, his second-in-command, turned away from the main screen. "Admiral, long-range sensors confirm hostile ships emerging." Around Earth, the planet's shield grid just went dark. "We're counting at least 200 Council vessels in the initial wave." "Make that 300, added Lieutenant Park Jinnah from the sensor station. "More ships are jumping in every minute. They're surrounding Earth like a pack of hungry wolves." June activated his personal terminal and watched the tactical display update in real time. The Council had positioned their forces perfectly. They had ships covering every possible escape route from Earth, cutting off any chance for evacuation. Their formation was textbook invasion protocol, overwhelming force applied at just the right time. But they had made one critical error. They thought they knew about all of Earth's defenses. "Sir," called out Communications Officer Young Min-ho, "we're receiving Ghost Fleet authentication codes from 17 other vessels. The Silent Storm, Iron Fist, Hidden Dagger. They're all confirming ready status." June smiled for the first time since receiving the warning. 17 ships didn't sound like much against 300, but these weren't ordinary ships. Each vessel in the Ghost Fleet was built in secret shipyards located in the outer reaches of the solar system. While Earth publicly built peaceful exploration vessels and small defense cruisers, humanity's best engineers had been working in the shadows, creating something far more dangerous. The Ghost Fleet was humanity's insurance policy, designed and built over 15 years by people who understood that trusting aliens completely might be a mistake. These ships incorporated technology that Earth wasn't supposed to have. Weapons and shields reverse-engineered from crashed alien vessels that the public never knew about. Power systems that bent the rules of known physics and materials forged in the hearts of dying stars. "Open a channel to all Ghost Fleet vessels," June commanded. "Encrypt with Omega-7 protocols." The holographic display flickered to life, showing the faces of 17 ship commanders scattered throughout the outer solar system. Each one had been hand-picked for this mission, chosen for their skill, their loyalty, and their willingness to make hard choices when humanity's survival was at stake. "Ladies and gentlemen," June addressed his fellow commanders, "this is the moment we've all trained for. The Council has shown their true colors. They're currently in the process of securing Earth orbit with what they believe is overwhelming force." Admiral Park Soo-jin, commanding the dreadnought Nemesis, nodded grimly. "We've been watching, June. Their formation is solid but predictable. They're confident, maybe too confident." "That's exactly what we're counting on," June replied. "They think they caught Earth sleeping. They have no idea we've been awake and planning for this day since their first ship entered our system." Captain Kang Min-seo of the Shadow Strike leaned forward. "What are your orders, Admiral?" June took a deep breath. He thought about his wife and children back on Earth, probably watching the news right now, seeing those alien ships surrounding their planet. He thought about all the innocent people who had believed in the Council's promises of peace and friendship. Those people deserved to live to see another day, to watch their children grow up free from alien oppression. Ghost Fleet Protocol is now active, he announced. All ships are to move to designated strike positions. Remember your training. Remember why we built these ships. The Council wants to make examples of us? Fine. Let's show them what happens when you wake a sleeping giant. The holographic images winked out one by one as each commander returned to their duties. Soon, 17 of humanity's deadliest warships would begin their silent approach toward Earth. The enemy wouldn't see them, coming until it was far too late. June turned to his bridge crew. Take us to Yellow Alert. Begin charging all weapon systems. Set course for strike position Alpha 7, maximum stealth approach. Sir, asked Commander Lee quietly, the Council has to know this is suicide math. 17 ships against 300. June's smile was cold and sharp like winter steel. That's what they want us to think, Sang-woo, but they're about to learn that sometimes it's not about how many ships you have. It's about what those ships can do. As the Dark Star began its silent glide through the asteroid field, June felt a strange peace settle over him. The waiting was over. The time for hiding and preparation had passed. Now came the time for action, for humanity to show the galaxy exactly what kind of species they had chosen to make their enemy. The Council thought they had won the war before it even started. They were about to discover just how wrong they could be. Dr. Hana Cho pressed her face against the observation window of the Iron Will as space around Earth began to shimmer and ripple like water. She had spent 20 years working on the technology. That was about to unfold, but seeing it in action still took her breath away. The Council ships were floating confidently around Earth, their massive hulls gleaming in the sunlight. Some were as long as cities, covered in weapon ports and armor plating that had protected them through 1,000 battles across the galaxy. Their commanders were probably celebrating right now, toasting their easy victory over the naive humans. They had no idea what was coming. Hana felt a small smile cross her lips as she watched the first phase begin. The dark space between the Council fleet and Earth started to twist and bend. It looked like someone was stirring invisible soup with a giant spoon. The enemy sensors would be going crazy right about now, detecting massive energy readings but seeing nothing to shoot at. Cloak displacement at 20%, announced Lieutenant Kwan from the sensor station. 25-30, Ghost Fleet is coming home. The Iron Will was the first ship to fully materialize. One moment there was empty space. The next moment a kilometer-long dreadnought hung there like a steel moon. Her hull was black as midnight, covered in angles and edges that hurt to look at directly. Weapon turrets the size of skyscrapers sprouted from her surface like metal flowers. But she wasn't alone. Ship after ship shimmered into existence around Earth's orbit. The Silent Storm appeared with her 6 massive gun batteries already charging. The Deep Strike uncloaked with her missile pods opening like deadly blooms. The Night Stalker revealed herself, bristling with point defense systems and torpedo tubes. In total, 37 ships appeared from the hidden fleet, not 17 as Admiral Kim had reported. That had been the first layer of deception. The Council had been watching and listening for years, so the humans had let them think the Ghost Fleet was smaller than it really was. Hana watched through binoculars as chaos erupted on the nearest Council vessel, a Kethran battlecruiser called the Razor Wing. She could see through their transparent aluminum windows as bird-like creatures ran back and forth, their feathers puffed up in panic. They were pointing at the human ships and flapping their wings in distress. Dr. Cho, called Captain Yoon, the Iron Will's commanding officer. Would you like to do the honors? Hana nodded and moved to the weapons control station. This was her moment, the culmination of 2 decades of secret research in hidden laboratories scattered throughout the outer system. While Earth was publicly building peaceful space stations and research vessels, teams of scientists had been working on projects that would make the Council think twice about betraying humanity. Target the Razor Wing, she said softly. Let's show them what gravity manipulation can really do. The Iron Will had no traditional weapons, No lasers, no missiles, no kinetic projectiles. Instead, she carried something much more terrifying. Weapons that could bend space itself. Hana activated the primary gravity lance, a device that looked like a crystal sculpture in the center of the ship. Reality twisted around the target ship. The razor wing began to stretch and distort, as space itself became uneven around it. The alien vessel, which had been moving majestically through space just moments before, suddenly started to fold in on itself like a piece of paper being crumpled by invisible hands. The council crew inside had no time to scream. 1 second they were there. The next, their ship was compressed into a ball of twisted metal and alien flesh, no bigger than a car. The gravity weapon didn't just destroy the ship, it erased it from existence in the most horrible way possible. Sweet. "Revenge," whispered Lieutenant Kwan, watching the destruction through the sensor feeds. But the real show was just getting started. Across the battlefield, human ships were revealing weapons that defied everything the Council thought they knew about technology. The Silent Storm fired spatial torpedoes that didn't fly through space. They folded space around themselves, appearing instantly inside enemy ships and tearing them apart from within. The Deep Strike activated her quantum disruptors, sending waves of energy that made the very atoms of enemy ships forget how to stick together. Massive alien dreadnoughts simply fell apart like sandcastles in the rain. The Night Stalker used her time dilation fields to slow down enemy missiles to a crawl, then redirected them back at their own ships. The Council forces watched in horror as their own weapons turned against them, accelerated back to normal speed and slamming into their hulls with devastating force. Dr. Hana Cho had spent her career studying the alien visitors, learning from their technology and improving upon it. What the Council didn't know was that every gift of technology they'd shared with Earth had been immediately taken apart, studied, and rebuilt into something better. The aliens had taught humans about energy shields, so humans built shields that could absorb enemy fire and redirect it back. The Council had shown Earth how to manipulate subspace, so humanity learned to create weapons that attacked ships through dimensions the aliens didn't even know existed. "Ma'am," reported Lieutenant Park from communications, "we're receiving surrender requests from 47 enemy vessels. They're begging us to stop the attack." Hana shook her head. "Tell them we'll consider it when they return Earth's stolen defenses and withdraw completely from our system. Until then, keep firing." The Council had made the classic mistake of underestimating their prey. They saw Earth as a young species, primitive and helpless. They never imagined that humans could be patient, cunning, and vindictive all at the same time. As more enemy ships crumpled under gravity weapons or phased out of existence entirely, Hana allowed herself a moment of satisfaction. Every ship destroyed was a small payment on the debt the Council owed for their betrayal. They had thought they were hunters, coming to collect easy prey. Instead, they had walked into a trap 20 years in the making. The hunters had become the hunted, and the galaxy would never forget the day humanity showed what happened when you betrayed the wrong species. The real war was just beginning, and Earth had every intention of winning it. Captain J. Lee gripped the armrests of his command chair as the Silent Rage jumped through hyperspace, chasing the fleeing Council ships like a predator hunting wounded prey. The bridge crew worked silently around him, their faces lit by the cold glow of tactical displays showing the retreating enemy forces. 3 weeks had passed since the battle for Earth, and the Council's massive invasion fleet was now scattered across a dozen star systems, running for their lives. What had started as a confident attack on a helpless human world had turned into the greatest military disaster in Council history. "Captain," called out Navigation Officer Kim So-young, "we're detecting hyperspace trails leading toward the Kepler system. Looks like a group of survivors are heading for the gas giant there." Jay nodded and studied the tactical screen. His ship was fast and deadly, built for exactly this kind of pursuit. The Silent Rage was smaller than the massive dreadnoughts that had broken the enemy's main force, but she was quick enough to catch fleeing ships and powerful enough to destroy them. "Set course for Kepler 442b, he ordered. "Maximum speed." The destroyer's engines roared to life, bending space around them as they jumped across light years in seconds. Jay had been hunting Council ships for weeks now, following Admiral Kim's orders to show no mercy to the beings who had attempted to enslave humanity. The hunt wasn't just about revenge, though revenge certainly tasted sweet. It was about sending a message that would echo through every star system in the galaxy. Humanity was no longer the innocent, trusting species that had welcomed the Council with open arms. They had learned the hard way that trust was a luxury they couldn't afford. As they emerged from hyperspace near the massive gas giant, Lieutenant Park Jun-ho at the sensor station called out, "Contact! We've got a Council command ship hiding behind the third moon. It's the Hegemony Pride, Admiral Vex's flagship." Jay felt a cold smile cross his face. Admiral Vex was one of the Council's top military commanders, the one who had personally overseen the installation of backdoors in Earth's defense systems. Finding him here was like discovering a treasure chest full of gold. "Red alert," Jay announced. "All hands to battle stations. We're about to catch ourselves a big fish." The Silent Rage moved silently through space, her stealth systems making her nearly invisible against the cosmic background. The Council ship was clearly trying to hide, hoping that the humans would pass by without noticing them. But human sensor technology had advanced significantly since the betrayal. There was nowhere to hide from Earth's hunters. As they approached the enemy vessel, communications crackled to life. Admiral Vex's face appeared on the main screen, a tall insect-like being with compound eyes and mandibles that clicked nervously. Behind him, other Council officers moved frantically, trying to prepare their defenses. "Human vessel," Vex began, his voice translator struggling with his alien speech patterns. "I demand you stand down immediately. I am a registered admiral of the Galactic Council, protected under interstellar law. Any attack on this vessel would be a war crime." Jay laughed, a sound with no humor in it. "War crime? That's rich coming from someone who spent 3 years planning to murder every human on Earth." "That wasn't murder," Vex clicked defensively. "It was conquest, perfectly legal under Council jurisdiction. Your planet was designated for integration into the hegemony. We followed all proper protocols." "All proper protocols except telling us the truth," interrupted Lieutenant Kim Si-jun from the weapons station. "You lied to us for 3 years. You pretended to be our friends while plotting our destruction." Vex's compound eyes shifted nervously. "Look, perhaps we can reach an agreement. The Council has resources, technology, information that could benefit your species. Surely we can find a peaceful solution to this misunderstanding." "Oh, there's no misunderstanding here," Jay replied, standing up from his command chair. "You tried to conquer Earth. You failed. Now you face the consequences of that choice. There won't be any negotiations, any deals, any mercy." Admiral Kim was very clear about that. Behind Vex, another alien officer whispered something urgently in his ear. The Admiral's eyes widened as he turned back to the screen. "Wait, you can't possibly intend to destroy us all. Think about what this means for galactic relations. Think about the precedent you're setting." "We are setting a precedent," Jay agreed. "We're showing the galaxy what happens when you betray humanity's trust. We're teaching every species out there that humans don't forget, and we don't forgive." The Council command ship suddenly tried to flee, its engines blazing as it attempted to escape deeper into the gas giant's gravitational well. But it was far too late for that. The Silent Rage had been designed to hunt, and her prey wouldn't escape that easily. "Fire at will," Jay commanded. The destroyer's main guns spoke with voices of thunder. Streams of superheated plasma and gravity-distorted projectiles struck the fleeing ship. The Hegemony Pride's shields flared and died within seconds, unable to handle weapons designed by humanity's best engineers, specifically to punch through Council defenses. "Please," Vex's voice came through the comm, now filled with desperation. "We have wounded aboard. Non-combatants, civilians from a dozen different species. Would you murder innocents? Like you planned to murder our innocents?" asked Lieutenant Park coldly from his position. "Earth had 8 billion non-combatants when you decided to invade." Jay raised his hand, pausing the attack for just a moment. "Admiral Vex, you want to talk about galactic law? Here's some human law for you. Actions have consequences. You chose to betray us. You chose to turn friendship into a weapon. This is the consequence of that choice." The final salvo from the Silent Rage tore through the Council ship's hull like paper. The Hegemony Pride, once the proud flagship of an alien admiral, became nothing more than twisted metal and frozen air drifting through space. As the last pieces of debris scattered in the gas giant's rings, Jay turned to his comm officer. "Send a message to Admiral Kim. Target eliminated, continuing the hunt." There were still dozens of Council ships fleeing through human space, carrying the story of Earth's revenge to every corner of the galaxy. That was fine. Let them run. Let them tell their families and their governments what humanity was capable of when pushed too far. The message was simple. Earth remembered its friends, and Earth never forgot its enemies. The Council had wanted to make an example of humanity. Instead, they had become an example themselves, a warning to any species thinking about betraying the trust of Earth. The hunt would continue until every last Council ship was either destroyed or fled beyond the reach of human space. And then, when the hunting was done, humanity would begin the next phase of their plan. The galaxy had wanted to see what humans were capable of when cornered. They were about to find out just how creative an angry human could be. Commander Sue. Lim stood perfectly still on the bridge of the rising Phoenix, watching the planet below through the massive viewing window. 6 months ago, Nexus Prime had been the shining center of the Galactic Council, home to billions of beings from across the galaxy. Its cities had reached into the clouds, its space elevators carrying ships to orbit every few minutes. Now it was a quiet world. The great cities still stood, but they were empty. The space elevators hung motionless like broken promises. The orbital stations that once buzzed with traffic floated dark and silent. The proud capital of the Council had become a ghost world in just half a year. Sue adjusted her uniform and walked to the communications console. Behind her, the bridge crew worked quietly, monitoring the hundreds of human ships that filled the system. The rising Phoenix wasn't alone. The entire human defense force had gathered here for this moment. "Communications," she called to. "Lieutenant Han, are we ready to transmit?" "Yes, ma'am. The quantum broadcast array is online. We can reach every inhabited system in the galaxy simultaneously." Sue nodded and took a deep breath. This message would be heard by trillions of beings across thousands of worlds. It would probably be translated into 1 million different languages and studied by alien scholars for centuries to come. But the words themselves were simple. "Begin transmission," she ordered. The bridge grew even quieter as officers paused their work to listen. Outside, space itself seemed to hold its breath. Even the stars appeared to dim, as if they knew something important was about to happen. Sue looked directly into the camera, her voice steady and calm. "To all species of the galaxy, this is Commander Sue Lim of the Human Defense Force, broadcasting from the former Council homeworld of Nexus Prime. I speak to you not as an enemy, but as a teacher." She paused, letting the weight of her words settle across the void. 6 months ago, the Galactic Council made a choice. They looked at Earth, a young world that had offered them friendship, trust, and cooperation, and they decided that conquest was easier than partnership. They spent 3 years pretending to be our allies, while secretly preparing to enslave us. Behind her, tactical displays showed the current positions of human fleets throughout the galaxy. Red dots marked human-controlled systems, and there were a lot of them now. The maps told a story of rapid expansion and overwhelming victory. The Council thought we were primitive. They thought we were helpless. They thought we would be easy prey. Sue's voice remained calm, but there was steel underneath the words. They were wrong on all counts. Lieutenant Park, monitoring long range. Sensors raised his hand slightly. "Commander, we're detecting panic broadcasts from several systems. Catherine High Command is demanding to know our intentions. The Daxian Collective is requesting immediate ceasefire talks." Sue nodded, but didn't pause her broadcast. "What you see before you now is the price of betrayal. Nexus Prime, once the greatest city in the galaxy, stands empty because its leaders chose deception over honesty. The Council fleets, once the terror of 100 worlds, are scattered to the winds because they underestimated the species they tried to conquer." She turned slightly, gesturing to the window behind her. The dead planet hung there like a cautionary tale made real. "But understand this, we did not do this out of cruelty. We did this out of necessity. The galaxy had to learn that some actions have permanent consequences. Communications crackled with incoming messages from across known space. Emergency broadcasts from dozens of species, all asking the same questions. What did humanity want? Would Earth attack them next? Was this the beginning of a human empire? We have no interest in ruling the galaxy, Sue continued as if reading their thoughts. We have no desire to become the monsters that the Council were. All we want is simple recognition of a basic truth. Earth will never again be anyone's victim. She moved to stand directly in front of the camera, her image being broadcast to beings she had never met on worlds she had never seen. From this day forward, humanity claims the right to defend itself and its allies. We claim the right to respond to betrayal with appropriate force. We claim the right to be left alone by those who would do us harm. Behind her, Captain Yoon whispered, updates from the fleet commanders throughout the system. Ships were reporting ready status, weapons charged, shields at full strength. The most powerful military force the galaxy had ever seen was ready for whatever came next. But we also offer something else, Sue said, her voice softening slightly. To those species who truly seek friendship, who deal with us honestly, who respect our sovereignty, we extend our hand in partnership. Earth has much to offer the galaxy, and we are willing to share, trade, and cooperate with anyone who approaches us with genuine intentions. She paused again, looking thoughtful. The choice is yours. You can fear us, fight us, try to destroy us as the Council did. If you make that choice, you will end up like them, broken and scattered, your civilization a warning to others. Or you can choose to build something better with us. Lieutenant Han made a small gesture, indicating that response messages were pouring in from across the galaxy. Some were threats, some were pleas for mercy, but most were simply asking what humanity wanted from them. To answer the question many of you are asking, Sue said with a slight smile, what we want is very simple. We want peace, but not at the cost of our freedom. We want prosperity, but not at the expense of our principles. We want friendship, but we will never again confuse friendship with naive trust. She stepped back, allowing the camera to capture more of the bridge, showing the calm professionalism of the human crew. These weren't screaming conquerors or bloodthirsty warriors. They were simply people who had been pushed too far and decided to push back. This is the new reality, Sue announced. Earth is no longer the young, trusting world that welcomed the Council with open arms. We are now a major power in this galaxy, with the ships and weapons to back up our words. The Council learned this truth the hard way. Don't make the same mistake. She looked directly into the camera one last time. Earth remembers its friends, and Earth never forgets its enemies. Choose wisely which category you want to belong to. The transmission ended, leaving silence on the bridge of the rising phoenix. Throughout the galaxy, billions of beings sat in stunned quiet, processing what they had just heard. The age of easy victories over primitive species was over. A new player had entered the galactic game, and they had just announced their rules. Responses coming in from 900 systems so far, reported Lieutenant Han. Most are requesting formal diplomatic contact. Sue smiled properly for the first time in months. Then let's start talking. But make sure they understand. This time we're not the ones who need to earn trust. They are. As the rising phoenix continued its orbit above the silent world of Nexus Prime, the future of the galaxy hung in the balance. Humanity had shown what they could do when betrayed. Now they would show what they could build with those willing to be honest partners. The Council's age was over. The human era had begun.